The voice you just heard in the update, that's super producer Brenden. He is safely partitioned on the other side of the glass. Thanks for getting up early with us or staying up late. However you are rolling on this particular Tuesday. Lots of stuff to dive into on the big show today. Brenden mentioned it in the update. Mike Gundy made waves yesterday. Now, apparently this wasn't him doing his own research on DUIs. We're just past that now. And 4 beers. Now, first off, as someone who drinks beer, that's a very big gap there. I have 1 beer. I have 4 beers. It's a different experience, especially when it comes to operating motor vehicle. Shouldn't do it anyways because Uber exists in our life. But the fact that Mike Gundy is like, I think I might just run him 50 times. That would be the most punishment. So, but anyways, we got past that, and now he has said, that's it. The well is dry, boys. Hopefully you're happy with your NIL deal. And part of it, actually, I don't disagree with. But we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what Mike Gundy said. How much hypocrisy is there, considering the coaches are probably either them or their agents constantly either negotiating with their current school. Like, has Mike Gundy's agent ever negotiated with Oklahoma State mid-season for his extension? I would assume so. Has there ever been a story? Oh, there it is. A couple years ago, Mike Gundy in talks with Tennessee. Now, he turned down Tennessee, got a nice extension there at Oklahoma State. So he's fairly comfortable negotiating and coaching at the same time, but he is not apparently comfortable with his players negotiating and coaching at the same time. But it brings into it a bigger question with the whole NIL world is there going to be a tipping point? More on that coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll get into some NFL stuff. Good to see Justin Herbert back at practice. Was it plantar fasciitis? Isn't that what he had?
Yeah.
So good to see Herbie back at practice with the Chargers. And, the Commanders. So the Bears named Caleb Williams a starter like May. I'm
Something
fairly
like that.
certain. Jaden Daniels is going to be the starter. When is Sean Payton just going to suck it up and be like, yeah, Bo Nix is our starter?
Yeah, he should.
It's not really debatable at this particular point. We put a top 10 pick into this guy, and he looks like he's NFL ready, but Sean Payton's going to Sean Payton. So we'll talk some more quarterbacks coming up on the big show. Apparently it's Fantasy Football Marathon Day on ESPN, which Brenden and I had an interesting conversation before the show, which I thought would be entertaining to have actually on the air, which is, Brenden, who are the worst fantasy people? Now, I don't participate in fantasy football for a couple of reasons. First is I've got enough football in my life as a radio host. I've got to pay attention to college, and I love it. Do not get me wrong. I got enough football in my life. Second thing is I like, and I have learned over the years, I like rooting for my teams. I like rooting for the Steelers. I like rooting for Oregon. And there are going to be other players that I like and I appreciate, but the idea that maybe in a week 4 matchup for me to win a fantasy matchup that I would have to maybe root against my Steelers, I never liked that. Now, it's very rare that ever happens, but I never really liked that. But the third reason is, while fun, fantasy football seems to bring out the worst in people. I have seen and heard of friendships breaking up over fantasy football. I have seen with mine own eyes before fantasy football went fully on the internet. Brenden, there's a bar down in Eugene that I would frequent. It was one of many bars that I would frequent in my time in Eugene. And there was a group of old dudes, all in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. I can say old dudes because I am one. And just a bunch of dudes at the bar, and they had a fantasy league. Now, fantasy leagues now, everything's done via email. Everything's done online. Probably not even via email. Do you have to email for trades and stuff, though, right?
All within the app.
Okay, so everything's within the app. This was...
You need like a computer. Actually, no, you don't need a computer any step of the way. You can completely do it from your phone.
Okay, well, this was like 2007. All right, so...
Different time.
Different time.
Oh, yeah.
And...
We even have smartphones. I think Steve Jobs just brought out the first iPhone.
So this group would... And it actually kind of sounds fun in theory, which is, hey, Every Wednesday, we all meet up at the bar. Roster's got to be set by 6 o'clock. You hand in your roster. The commissioner now has the rosters already set, and everybody's already there at the bar. Hey, let's have some hot wings and let's have some beer, hang out, talk midweek, talk some football with the boys. Sounds like a fun idea, right? Brenden, I saw so many old dudes arguing, fighting, yelling, pushing, shoving, debating over whether or not they got their roster in on time. Sorry, 6 o'clock. That's the rule. It has to be in. Also, when I go to a sports bar on a Sunday morning and have my mimosa brunch while I watch football on Sundays, fantasy football dudes seem to be like the worst fans. Now, there's a lot of bad fans in general.
It is so much fun to go to like Buffalo Wild Wings and watch all 12 TVs. Just because, like, I'm watching the running back there, I'm watching the receiver there. Like,
but are you openly rooting and cheering so it looks like you're rooting for like 4 or 5 different teams?
Oh, totally.
So that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Yeah.
Okay,
well, but then again, we've determined this, Justin. I zag when others zig. So it's like that shouldn't surprise you at all. Like, oh yeah, no, go Devontae Adams for the Raiders. Oh, do I like the Raiders? Yeah, no, not really. But yeah, go Devontae Adams.
And here's the other reason why I do not participate in fantasy football. While I appreciate it and all of you that do love it, and
you asked for honesty. I'm giving you
I
honesty.
want it. This is all I ask for, is that we tell the truth on this particular program. I know the same reason why I'll never play a game of Monopoly. I get bored and I quit.
No, if
I have a lot of stick-to-itiveness. I have a lot of commitment. But when I'm playing something and it just seems boring and it seems pointless at that particular point, well, now I am ready to quit. And I know myself, and I know that if I were to get into a fantasy football league and I were to have, I would just stumble out of the gate, I would then lose massive interest and I would not pay attention to my team and I would quit. It's probably the same. It's the same reason why I never got into video games that last longer than a couple of minutes. Like, oh, did you play Dynasty? I was like, it got too difficult and I quit.
You want to know?
And I know that might not sound great, but I know that if I was in a league and it was like, Justin, you haven't updated your roster in like a month. I'm like, I know, I'm 0-6. I don't. It's like, yeah, but at the top of the league, Carl is playing you, and you can't just give him a win because then Steven's going to get mad because he's in a absolute battle for. It's like, so I wouldn't be good for the league. I would be bad for the league. And you said you've actually had to deal and had to like,
I've had to
even like as
I've had to move
crack the whip a little bit, going like, hey, you can't just give up because the integrity of the league is determined on you at least trying a little bit.
So going back to something previously you said, Justin, you would not have the patience to oversee. I think I'm in. Actually, yes. As of yesterday, I'm in year 2040 of my NCAA tournament or NCAA football dynasty. Many national
How do you
championships.
do that in like 3 weeks?
I'm not playing every game. You're simulating a lot. Like
Got
a lot
it.
of it's just like you.
Okay, so
Put the groundwork down, then you kind of simulate it, let your players play out. You see how the playoff runs, all that kind of stuff.
much like in theory in college football, Oregon could pretty much simulate week 1 against Idaho. No offense to the Vandals.
Speaking of which, Oregon, they start in a make-believe video game world, Justin, they start tallying up some titles very quickly.
do they? They
Yeah.
start racking up.
Like,
in the make-believe world.
Brendan's video game, yeah. I think Oregon's got like 5 or 6. So I'm like,
what a world.
If a video game can project the future, Justin.
What a world.
Justin's like, oh my goodness, eyes just lit up.
But
If a video game thinks it's true, Justin, AI and all that stuff. Just saying.
I mean, it is interesting. I heard, I can't remember where I heard this, but there was a take I heard about, is Oregon getting too much love? Because you look at the roster, you look at all the stuff that Dan Lanning has done, but fair point is Oregon has never made it to the mountaintop. And is it a bit of a fool's errand, I should say, to think that a team that has not made it to the mountaintop is going to just waltz right into the newly rebuilt, supersized version of the Big Ten and going to have the ultimate success in year one. It does, like, I'm an Oregon homer. I follow the team, obviously, day in and day out. But if you were to tell me another team who has not made the playoff in 10 years, close, but not made the playoff in 10 years, has, one conference title in like the last, they won it in 2019. And I guess technically in 2020, they won the conference title game. But they won it in 2019, haven't won the conference title really since then. And before that, the last conference title when they won was 2014. So you've got one conference title in 10 years, no trips to the playoff, and you're just going to waltz into the Big Ten and run roughshod over Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio State, who are all on the schedule, by the way.
You're really worried about Wisconsin. You've mentioned that a couple times. Is that a sneaky trap game for you as you look at it?
There are going to be things in the Big Ten that Oregon fans are not going to expect. And I know this because I love college football.
Sure.
And I know that while Oregon and Washington are tough places to play, and at times maybe Arizona and Utah, there ain't nothing like going into Camp Randall. You know what I mean? There ain't nothing that Oregon Now, again, these players are transfers and they're recruits, and it doesn't really matter as long as Dan Lanning has the boys ready to play. But, Brenden, I don't know if there is an equivalent of like Arizona State where it's like, meh.
Illinois, maybe.
But going into Camp Randall,
right?
And going into the big house.
Rutgers? Can we say Rutgers?
Maybe Rutgers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, Oregon didn't go to Rutgers this year. They do go to Purdue, but they go to Rutgers. All right. More college football talk. Mike Gundy says, "Hey, this phone is turned off. Terror agent, quit calling me." That's my Oklahoma accent. But does he have a point? Is he a hypocrite? Is it both? Talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. it is interesting when I have conversations in my day-to-day life with people who are sports fans, but they're not crazy college football fan like I am. And you forget, like, just like I forget, like, there are people that follow, like, finance, and I'm like, oh, what's going on with the housing market? And they're like, oh, dude, did you see blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, no, I didn't see that. You got me there. I feel like that's maybe how some people feel when they have, like, lives with children and other jobs and other responsibilities, where I'm like, and they're like, wait a minute, Oregon's in the Big Ten now? It's like, yeah, been talking about this for like a year. Like, I had my in-laws came over the weekend, and they had some friends in town, and
You serve them up some good grub?
charcuterie platter and some rosé, man, as only
nice
it happens at Casa de Myers.
Nice. Outdoor TV and all?
Outdoor TV was popping, as you know. Had golf on, had the FedEx Cup, or the St. Jude, had golf on the TV. Had a beautiful charcuterie board.
So this was, I'm assuming Sunday, not rainy Saturday.
No, this was Sunday with the finest meats and cheeses, and the cold rosé was
Very
flowing.
nice.
I'm high class, Brenden. Well, my wife is, but anyways, so my in-laws came over, and they're very close friends, and they wanted to see our house, and the husband of the friend, he's a Coug, and they're retired. They live in Arizona. And he's, he's a guy who follows sports, but he's not a crazy person like you and I are. And he was like, all right, so Justin, what happened with the Cougs? like he didn't know that everybody just kind of left them with the Beavs, and that B, and he's like, so they're in the Mountain West now. And I'm like, no, they're on the, like, what? What do you think the percentage is of actual, like, people who would say they're sports fans who believe that Washington State and Oregon State are technically in the Mountain West? I would say over 50%.
Probably, yeah.
There's a lot of people who do not understand, because how could you? And I was like, yeah, there was a court case in Colquitt, and they won it, and so now they're a hybrid conference. And he was like,
yeah, the Pac-12 logo still on the Beaver and Cougar Field, so that's kind of where I go.
And what's funny is, like, ESPN.com, you can go to Pac-12 standings, and there's two teams on.
Well, I mean,
there's
joked
two
with
teams
you
on
about
there.
it,
They're
Justin, that's how
still on there.
That's how the video game is set up right now. The Pac-12 exists. It's just Oregon State and Washington State in it. So,
I mean, it was just interesting to me that, like, oh, that's right. There are sports fans out there that are just like, don't follow it day to day, and I kind of feel maybe the same thing about the whole NIL thing of, like, wait, players can get paid. Well, it's NIL, and Mike Gundy came out, made some noise yesterday, as only Mike Gundy. Now, let me first off say, college football is better with Mike Gundy. He's not perfect.
I love Mike Gundy.
He has warts like every coach, and he's got probably a skeleton or two in his closet. But college football is better with guys like Mike Gundy.
The mullet game is strong too.
Mullet, and just these guys that care only about football and don't understand that there's a whole world out. Like, I like that about college football. Some people don't. Some people are turned off by it. Some people don't like the news network that he likes to watch. I, for one, think it adds color and variety, and I like it. But Mike Gundy made a very interesting statement, and I think this was yesterday, or this might have even been over the weekend, but it kind of took fire yesterday. Here's Mike Gundy, and now this reporter needs to shut up, because Mike Gundy's given a great answer, and, like, quit talking over the top of this beautiful answer.
I think we learned that in, like, basic scrum school.
Just shut up.
Like, come on, bro.
Gundy's on a heater right now. Shut up. Anyways, so there's a little bit of a guy talking while Mike Gundy is talking, but here's Mike Gundy talking about players, agents, and how he is done until December.
That's what I told the players. There's no negotiating now. Portal's over. All negotiations history. Now we're playing football.
You can enjoy
Just coaching and playing football.
Conference and a 12-team playoff and everything being so different, just the newness of it all.
Yeah, and the business side of what we do now is we have to have those conversations with them. Tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money. It's non-negotiable now. Going to start again in December. So now we're able to direct ourselves just at football, and that part is fun because there's been so much other stuff going on. It's been hard to really focus on football.
We are non-negotiable. We are done. Tell your agent, quit calling me. I'm changing my number. We'll talk in December. Right now, there's a portal, and if you want to go to the portal, fine. But the portal's not open right now. We are non-negotiable. Here's a couple of things I take from that. First off, there are going to be a lot of college football coaches that do not embrace, or maybe halfway embrace, but do not like it's changing, but I don't have to like it, of the new part of college football. Here's what it reminds me of. Back when I was a kid, people went to work. They went to work in offices. They went to work in mills. They went to work at plants, and they showed up, and they punched the clock, and they did their job. They took a half hour for lunch. They ate their turkey sandwich. They went back to work, and by 5 o'clock, most people, Monday through Friday, work's over. Right? That was a big part of my childhood in the 90s. Right? 5 o'clock, office is closed. I can vividly remember when the grocery store would close. I know it's kind of crazy to believe right now because grocery stores are open all the time. You can always find we had a 7-Eleven in Winston, and if it was after 6 o'clock, if they didn't have it at 7-Eleven, you weren't getting it because it was the only thing open because the store closed. Well, then the internet came into our world, and then cell phones came into our world, and email came into our world, and I would imagine most of the people who were in sales, who were in marketing, who worked in these corporate offices and realized that, the phone is off, and not to voicemail, to the answering machine. The phone is off at 5 o'clock. The office is closed. We will see you tomorrow. Well, guess what? Then email. Then you got cell phones. And then you could call somebody after hours. The phone was always on. And then cell phones got better and better and better. And then email came along. Then this crazy BlackBerry came into our world. And the BlackBerry changed the game. Because what did a BlackBerry allow you to do? You can read emails on your phone. You can be reached at any point in time. And there had to be a lot of grumpy old dudes and women too who are like, everything is falling apart. I used to just shut it down. And I think there's a lot of college football coaches that were like, nope. I would go into these high schools. I would shake the hand of the high school coach. He would be like, that kid's good. That kid's good. You might want to work on him. And I would go and I would sit in those living rooms and I would talk to mom and dad. And I had the whole plan. And boy, if I got mom and dad on board, I could bring in the kid and we're winning football games. Well, guess what? Now you got to talk to your collective and you got to see where your funding is. And then you got to talk to their agent and see where their funding is. And then all of a sudden, so-and-so's not happy, or so-and-so is now maybe playing more than he thought, and he realized that his buddy, who he talks to on Instagram, he's at Oklahoma State, but his buddy who's at Kansas State is getting $50,000 more a year, and he's like, well, where's my NIL money? Well, there's going to be a lot of coaches, much like the guys in the office, and I even think, because I came into media right before iPhones. I started in media in 2004. There were no iPhones. iPhones came into the world and changed everything we did in media. There used to be deadlines. No, not anymore. And I saw plenty of old-timers, which, oh boy, I wish I was one, but plenty of old-timers who were like, internet, try again. No. Twitter? What? Twitter? Social media? No, we're not doing. I'm in media. I'm not going to throw out a tweet. Well, guess what? All those guys are gone. And I used to see all of them in the press box. And there were some that embraced tweeting. Brenden, how many tweets you probably send out during
week or my lifetime? I looked at my lifetime one the other day.
Well, I'm just saying, in an average Oregon State football game, about how many tweets do you send out?
15 to 20.
15 to 20.
At least.
That, if you can believe it, in about 2007, when Twitter was first getting, to some media members seemed astronomical. No, tweeting 15 to 20 during the, I'm watching the game. I'm taking notes. Well, those notes that you're taking, type them down and hit send them out to everyone. And now I see a press box full of guys who embraced Twitter and who embraced social media and who embraced the internet, and those that didn't went on to retirement. And I wonder how many coaches are going to be like, I don't like this NIL stuff. I liked it when I could just go to a high school and shake the coach's hand because, I have that high school. This is what they used to do. High school coach would come and he would coach at my camp. And we'd give him a nice little reward for coaching at camp. And for that, we would get an inside track into his football players. And we would have a whole system in place. Well, now it doesn't matter. You go to the high school football coach, like, yeah, Jimmy's got an agent. Jimmy's agent says he's not even talking. Like, it's going to be $20,000 just to get him on campus. And I wonder how the Mike Gundys of the world are going to cope. Because to be able to win at the highest level, you're going to have to worry about payroll. You're going to have to worry about market value. You're going to have to worry about the overall financials of other universities. Because these guys, they go to these Elite 11 camps and they go to these 7-on-7 camps and they become friends. Just like in the NBA, they start talking on social media and they're all buddies on Instagram. And then they find out, like, hey, UCLA is paying me $40,000 more than you're getting paid at Arizona State. And so, hey, Coach Dillingham, got a discrepancy here. My buddy, who I've got, well, I'm taking a look here, 8 more tackles than, he's getting $50,000 more, UCLA. Because there is no structure like in the NFL where your contract is your contract and there's negotiating periods. This is going to be a week-to-week thing. And some coaches are going to embrace it. And some coaches are going to find a way to use it. I think Dan Lanning is one of those coaches. I think Kirby Smart is as well. Even though, did you hear Kirby Smart complaining the other day about how the destruction of college football because they don't have any backups? Like, yeah, sorry, Kirby, you don't get to have 5 stars 3 deep at every position. Everybody, like, other people are going to have some good players too.
Are you sure? Alabama did for about a 6-7 year stretch.
Not anymore, though.
Well, that's what I said, for like a 6-7 year stretch.
Well, and that's why Kirby Smart is not, he's like, Saban's gone. Now I get all the players. I'm like, nah, they transfer out and they go to other. Anyways. It's an interesting tactic that Mike Gundy is on here. With the, hey, taking a hard stance. Because while you may take a hard stance and be like, hey, guys, no more negotiating. We're focusing on football. You think that agent's not going to be calling up some assistant director of player personnel at TCU? Hey, what do y'all got for your NIL budget? You think those agents aren't going to be calling some coach who is maybe, I don't know, a wide receiver away or a tight end away and is like, how's your NIL budget? Because I don't know if you're going to be able to win at the highest level until A, regulation comes in, which that's 5 years away, if ever, or B, you fully embrace the business side of it and walk the tightest of tightrope that college football coaches have never had to walk ever in their life. NFL coaches have it easy. There's a handful that are coach and GM, but for the most part, NFL coaches are just like, who's available, who's not. Did he get his deal done? Great. Happy for you. Now let's put him back into the lineup. Now that deal's done, we'll worry about that in 4 years. At some point, Kyle Shanahan's going to know I either have Ayuk or I don't. How's that still going on, by the way?
A week and some change later.
I either have him or I don't, and then once I do, it's cut and dry. Could you imagine in the NFL if, like, who just got a good deal? Like, DJ Moore just got a good deal, right? DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears, he just got himself a really good deal. Could you imagine, though, let's say DJ Moore and Caleb Williams just absolutely click, and he starts putting up big numbers, like Tyreek Hill numbers, like Justin Jefferson numbers, and he comes back and is like, yeah, I know you just gave me the biggest extension in the history of the Chicago Bears. 4 weeks into this season, I'm leading the league in receiving. I'd like more, please. And they'd be like, well, DJ, you've got a contract. He's like, okay, transfer portal's going to open up. I'm going to go play for somebody else next season. That's what college football coaches have to deal with right now. And some of them are not handling it well. Now, there is also a hypocrisy, but again, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Shout out to the Beauty and the Beast. College football coaches being hypocrites, right? Hey, it is about commitment and brotherhood. What Michigan State's calling. Sorry, Brenden.
It's okay. They're going to be absolutely terrible this year.
It is about I need focus. I need dedication. I need your whole, all of your energy on this one opponent. Now, I am negotiating with this other team right now while we have the biggest game of our lives. But I can do it like that. That happens all the time.
Yeah,
But how does it sound when Mike Gundy is like, tell your agent to quit calling because we're done. We're done with. It's like, Coach, has your agent ever called anybody middle of the season? Because I know you were talking to Tennessee a couple of years ago. I think it was before they hired Heupel. Pretty sure you were talking to Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure that talk at Tennessee got yourself a nice fat extension at Oklahoma State. Do you tell your agent to quit calling people? No, you didn't? Okay, got it. I love football coaches and their hypocrisy. It's the best. Like, and the fact that I don't think they're lying. I think they truly believe their own BS. I really
Jonathan
do.
Smith certainly did.
All of them. Cristobal did. Willie Taggart, like they all did. I need 100% focus and commitment for the team. What, Miami? Hold on a sec. Guys, I'm going to finish my pregame speech. What? $8 million a year? And I get to go back to Miami? Oh, yep. Pac-12 title game. We're all in, right? We're going to run the ball. You might be building a new stadium there? But when can you get the plane? Well, now guess what? Shoes on the other foot. Now the players get to be like, forget the quarterback market, because the quarterback market's crazy, but like, I'm averaging 4 yards a carry more than my buddy down at Florida State. And guess what? He's getting 80,000 more in NIL. So we need to go ahead and pony up. As they said in Aladdin, I made two Disney movie references. It is a whole new world. Hey, you know what today is, though? It's Tuesday. And while Tuesday is kind of a grumpy old man day, which we are going to have coming up in hour number 2, it's also a great day to win some tickets. That's right. We keep the Ticket Tuesday winning streak alive. Exclusive tickets to the Hillsboro Hops all season long. Listen to Rip City Drive each and every Tuesday afternoon for your chance to win. And you get Hops tickets now at hillsborohops.com. We go on campus next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, guys, we are getting close. That's right. We are getting close. We are now at 11 days. 11 days till the kickoff of college football here in the beautiful Willamette Valley. Getting almost close enough to where we can check the weather. When's kickoff in Corvallis? What's the kickoff time? 4:30?
3:30.
3:30. That's right, because it's a 3:30 in Corvallis and a 4:30 down in Eugene.
I'm sure our lovely freeway
I'll be
that I've
down
talked about all summer long is just going to totally be able to handle that. So shout out to whoever our Department of Transportation Secretary is. Shout out, come on, ODOT, out of lane. That'll be the grumpiest thing. I put my fist in the air.
Every
Justin.
single drive down to Corvallis where you get stuck right around Enchanted Forest, I think is probably where you get the most stuck.
You would be proud to know this last
Albany gets a little dicey.
Yes, but you'd be proud to know this last Saturday. I obviously wasn't doing the morning show and just went down for the scrimmage. Justin Wilsonville was bad.
It was the worst.
Yeah, I usually avoid it, but goodness gracious.
There are two towns.
Yeah,
or
it's
not two
insane.
towns. Two cities that I feel bad about because I have probably cursed their name more than any other, and that is the city of Tacoma, and that is the city of Wilsonville, because my entire life driving up and down this great Interstate 5, I have never breezed through Wilsonville or breezed through Tacoma. It just never, ever happens. Doesn't matter the time of day, doesn't matter the time of year, it doesn't matter the day of the week. It is always just busy. And then, once you get past Wilsonville and you feel like, whew, all right, we got some breathing room, and then, boy, you hit that Enchanted Forest. And it goes from the 3 lanes to the 2 lanes, and then trucks start passing in the left-hand lane, and that's when you want to hurt people. And I don't want to hurt people. I want to uplift people. But
I hear you.
I think it's going to be nice. I've been looking at the extended forecast for what it's going to be down at Autzen in a week and a half. It looks like it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I mean, to be honest, for how crummy of an August we've gotten weather-wise, I've heard people say, hey, we're going to get a hot September. I'm just rolling with it right now, Justin. Like, just gotta have it. I want it to be shorts, T-shirt weather for the Civil War, because that's just going to be like, is this right? Like, it's going to feel so wrong, Justin, to like be
it is funny
warm outside for that game.
I was looking at ticket prices, not because I'm going to go. I was just curious of like what it costs to get into like Reeser, and then that
I think it was like 160 when I
Yeah.
looked, which isn't bad. If you want to, I mean,
if you want to be part of the first like September Civil War and say you were there.
Yeah, or say, you're a diehard Beaver or Duck. Like, when you compare it to, like, thankfully, college football, like, if you compare it to, like, a concert, example, like, college football tickets are still somewhat affordable, even for a big marquee game. Like, you don't see that being a $700-800 ticket, right?
Well, that's because concerts have gotten completely out of control.
Well,
like,
let's hope that doesn't happen to other things.
completely out of control.
They are.
We need Pearl Jam to sue Ticketmaster again. We need that to happen. Actually, they failed completely in that attempt. But there is 11 days to college football. It is time for us to go on campus. All right, quick update. Our good friends at the Rip City Drive, that is Chad Dewing and Dwight Janes, they will be broadcasting from Oregon State later this afternoon as Beavs wrap up fall camp officially today, right? I don't know
Last open day. I think they've
Yes.
got a couple days that'll be closed, couple evaluation days. Like,
Got to get those evaluations in.
letting guys know, hey, you're not going to play, or, So, yes, we will not. This is the last time not my peepers, but peepers will be at Oregon State practice this fall.
So Chad and Dwight will be down there.
Yep.
I'm assuming they'll probably talk to Trent Bray. I'm assuming. Has Gunderson calmed down yet? Is he all still fired up about stuff down there?
He's still pretty fired up, man. Like I said, he's got a little zip to him. I kind of like it.
Who's defensive coordinator?
Keith Hayward.
Keith Hayward, that's right.
Hey, he's formerly your defensive coordinator, too. So
I know. That's
small
right.
world. But
so,
yeah.
I don't know if they'll be able to get the coordinators, but I'm sure they'll talk to Trent Bray, maybe talk to a couple of players. But right now in college football, it is quarterback naming season. I don't know if you saw this, but it's now official. USC has named Miller Moss their starting quarterback. That's not at all a surprise. former Texas player. Remember Malik Murphy, who came in when Quinn Ewers hurt his shoulder? Actually played pretty well. He transferred to Duke. He's going to be starting for Duke. He was named that just the other day, and then I think Portland Metro's own Wes Lynn, Sam Levitt, was officially named starter at Arizona State.
Remember, he was at Michigan State.
Oh, I will.
Told Jonathan and Brian Lindgren to kick rocks, which was quite hilarious, and said, "Yeah, no."
Sam Levitt might be your favorite player, non-Beaver, in college football right now, because he was sitting there at Michigan State because when he was at Wes Lynn, he was good enough to apparently play at Michigan State, but was not good enough to play at Oregon State. And Jonathan Smith, according to him, now I'm paraphrasing too. If family is listening and I screw it up, I apologize. But this, I don't know if you saw the news lately, but this show is very pro Wes Lynn all of a sudden. This is a pro Wes Lynn Lions radio program, in case anybody has seen the news lately. But apparently he was there at Wes Lynn, good enough to play at Michigan State. Didn't get a call
from Oregon State,
from Jonathan Smith at Oregon State.
I don't know how that happens.
So there he is at Michigan State, and Jonathan Smith gets the job, and he's like, Tempe seems nice.
Yeah, better than Michigan winters, right?
And congratulations to him. He's now the starting quarterback for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Here's my question to you, Brenden, because Oregon is going to have Dylan Gabriel. There's no announcement that is going to be made. Washington is Will Rogers. There's no announcement that is going to be made. When does Trent Bray announce his starting quarterback? Will he announce a starting quarterback? I know there was a source off over the weekend you told me about. Who knows? But I don't care until I hear it from the horse's mouth. I've also seen so many sources are saying that, and they were completely wrong. But keep trying, boys.
Yeah, I would.
When do you think the announcement's going to come?
Next week, next Monday when they release the depth chart.
You think it'll be on the depth chart?
Press conference Monday. That would be my guess because, I
believe you gotta I like what Arizona State's doing. You gotta announce your guy.
I agree,
and you gotta be like, look, here's our QB. Distraction is now over, and that not only tells him, but it tells the team, hey, we're riding with him.
But what happens if the team can't tell amongst the three who's the best?
Well, then you got a massive problem, and it's bigger than just naming a starter. But at some point, I think, as a coach, I think you can carry some favor by going and just making a decision and saying, yep, so-and-so helps us win. And you can always change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
guys get benched all the time. Yeah, it happened 2 years ago with the Beavs, right?
Sam Neuer
couldn't move the ball against Purdue.
Benched him at halftime. That was it.
So you can make a change, but I do think
I
at least going into the now I know what Dan Lanning was doing a couple years ago because it was Georgia.
I kind of like that, yeah.
But and it's like maybe we'll get one or two, but they got no benefit from that whatsoever because Georgia was like, Dan, you're playing Bo Nix. Like, come on. Anyways, congratulations to Sam Levitt, and we'll see what happens with the Beavs. But speaking of the Beavs, like I mentioned, Rip City Drive going to be down in Corvallis for Oregon State, wrapping up at least the media version of fall camp later on this afternoon. We have got hour number 2 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio.
7 a.m. here on a Tuesday. Brenden Slaughter with you. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert returns to practice after missing all of camp with a foot injury. He's expected to be 100% and ready to go week 1. Over in the college ranks, Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy says that players and agents have to stop asking for more money mid-season via the NIL, saying December is the time for those conversations to happen. And the Commanders officially named second overall pick Jaden Daniels its starting quarterback. It is the 7th straight season with a different starting quarterback for Washington. They'll be hoping Daniels is a multi-year starter. Coming up on the big show, we got a whole lot to get into, including Hour 3 with Devon Pouncey on the big show. You got Rip City Mornings on a Tuesday.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. 20 minutes from now, we have got Make or Miss. 45 minutes from now, you will all get off my lawn as while it is still a beautiful August day, it's still Tuesday, and it's still time for some grumpiness. So that's going to be coming up in about 45 minutes. Brenden mentioned during the update that the Commanders have now named their starter in Jaden Daniels. The Chicago Bears clearly are starting Caleb Williams. The Broncos are going to be starting. They're going to be starting Bo Nix. And we're still out on Drake May, right? On whether or not he's going to be starting.
I got to stick to my one, Justin. I think every draft class, I'm like, one guy that I circle is like kind of a bust. And you know me, it is not Drake May's fault. I can honestly say I probably watched less than 10 minutes of anything on Drake May. It is entirely because Mitch Trubisky was terrible and Sam Howell's not very good. And
there's
my Mac Brown theory. Mac Brown can't make pro quarterbacks.
There's another one in there too, a North Carolina quarterback I was thinking of. You've skewed my brain because now every time I see North Carolina quarterback and I'm like, oh, great. There's another one in there. I can't believe I'm forgetting who it is, but neither here nor there. So this is what I wanted to throw in there. It's fantasy football day on ESPN. They're doing their fantasy football marathon on the network right now. We had some jokes earlier in the show about why I am not a fantasy football person, but yet I still keep getting invited. No joke.
I did throw an invite out to Justin. He politely declined.
I thank you. I appreciate it. Not for me.
Maybe next year.
No joke. Just got an email. Fantasy football. Hey, Justin, got your email from, I'll keep that name private. Just wanted to let you know if you want to join our fantasy football group, here's the link and here's it. And I'm just like, how many times I got to tell these people it's just not for me.
I mean, you could
It's just not for me.
You could do it and just set the lineup and just shut it down.
I don't want to be that guy. And also I don't want to burn $50 or whatever it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, you got to buy it. So
our
league.
You just play for funsies? You don't play for money?
We had a buy-in once, but then as people, as we have...
The point of doing it?
Fun. I think it takes away a little bit of just the... I don't know. We did money once a couple times. Once it was hard to track down everybody. Once
but now you got Venmo.
It's true. But no, I don't know. We've always just done it for fun.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's play a little...
But I'm not against it by any means.
In a keeper league, right? That's where you keep your best players.
I've never done that myself.
Okay, well, let's pretend we're in a keeper league.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just going to turn this into a segment because
Let's do it.
we are likely going to have 3, maybe 4 rookie starters in the NFL, right? There's going to be Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Drake May still might start because as much as he hasn't looked great, Jacoby Brissett hasn't looked good either. J.J. McCarthy looked like he was going to start. He's now out for the season. And Michael Penix will not be starting unless injuries pop up. But I'll throw Penix in there in terms of from a keeper league standpoint. For the next 5 years, you get this quarterback for the next 5 years. Brenden, you've got the 1-1 draft you only get to pick rookies. Who would you pick right now? Because I think Bo Nix looks the most NFL ready. And by the way, that's not me being a homer. Bill Belichick said that on Pat McAfee yesterday. I think he looks the most NFL ready. I think like the floor is higher for Bo Nix. Don't know where the ceiling is. I still believe that Bo Nix is a tremendous competitor. I think he's got moxie, which you need to play quarterback at the highest level, physical talent, all that stuff. And you got to factor in, Sean Payton's a pretty good quarterback coach. Put Drew Brees likely in the Hall of Fame. You got Caleb Williams, who I think is the most talented of all of them. But we don't know if Eberflus can coach. We don't know if the Bears can shake off their shaky recent history. And now they've surrounded him with weapons, and that's good. And then there's Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels kind of the wild card here.
So I would
we've seen Jaden Daniels do unbelievable things. But again, going back to our uniforms are magic theory, he plays for the Commanders, and we're just not used to good quarterbacks playing in those uniforms. It's been a minute. I mean, like you said, 7 straight starters to start the season.
Well, Dan Snyder oversaw 6 of them. So I think once you get a cancer like that out of your organization, they'll probably start to win more and be.
You think that Dan Snyder had that much focus on roster?
Well, remember he was the guy who like he was one of those owners who's like he knew more about football. He thought he knew more about football than he did. It was always like, oh. It was Dan Snyder who said they had to trade all those picks to get RG3. It was Dan Snyder said they had to trade up and get Dwayne Haskins, R.I.P.
Okay, that's a good point.
Stuff like that. But all that to say, Justin, I would go with Caleb Williams, and only because of his supporting cast. I can't name you a receiver other than Tim Patrick in Denver as a casual. So that is some concern. And same with the Commanders. I know they got scary Terry McLaurin, but that's...
See, that's where I give the lean to Sean Payton. That if I don't know the receivers now, I'm probably going to know them by
you will.
by
you might become
October.
an adopted Broncos fan.
I don't think so. There's no possible way. Look, I have had we'll
see.
I have had a steady policy that I have adhered to, which is when you leave Oregon, best of luck to you, but I don't root for you anymore. I'm a Steelers fan, and even though my reason for Steelers fandom has since retired, I like having one team, and I like sticking with one team. It's just what makes my sports heart full. Is to just I like one team, and if you want to bebop around, that's your business. I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan of sports. That's not my job. But I've had a strict policy. Now that being said, I was very excited when Marcus Mariota went to Tennessee when he was the number 2 overall pick. And obviously I was incredibly excited for Justin Herbert as a 5'4" kid who was headed to the Chargers and staying on the West Coast and obviously having all of the pieces in place to have a superstar career. Boy, I'm really excited about Bo Nix. I really am.
If he's good, if he's
Brenden,
great,
it's something about like Mariota, Herbert, Nix. Unbelievable success. All 3 of them. No one had more on-the-field success than Marcus Mariota, played a national title game. Arguably, Herbert had more on-the-field success, won a title in 2019, and won a Rose Bowl. Bo Nix, and also, by the way, Marcus Mariota took home that big stiff arm trophy. You know what I mean?
Only one.
Whereas Bo Nix, he was in the building, but there's just something about him. And maybe it's recency bias. Maybe it's just the fact that the last 2 years were so fun to watch Oregon football. And as compared to the previous handful of years under the Cristobal regime, which won a lot of games, wasn't a lot of fun to watch. And to see Bo Nix bring kind of that fun back to Oregon football again, which under Chip Kelly, like, boy, there's nothing more fun than watching those games, not for opponents, but as an Oregon fan, those games were fun to watch. And Bo Nix was a big part of that, and maybe that's what I appreciate. But, yeah, if the Broncos and the Steelers, like, like meet up in like the AFC wild card. I'm not rooting for Bo Nix. Now they're not going to. I think both teams are missing the playoffs this year. But if in the future, no, I stick with my policy.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish you the best of luck, but I shall not be a fan.
Denver certainly climbed out of the hole they were in. The problem I have with that is like their defense is going to be better. You know that, and again, say what you will, but I don't really believe in the targets at receiver. Decent depth at running back. But here's the problem, Justin. They will only be better than the Raiders without question. We don't know if we'll see. Will they be better?
You said you think the Chargers are rebuilding. Not tanking, but rebuilding. They took away all of Justin Herbert's targets.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, but I'm talking about let's play a little chess, not checkers. Sure. If you're in a 5-year keeper league and you get a rookie quarterback, you get a 1-1 pick. Who are you going with?
I'm still taking Caleb Williams.
Still taking Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that kid's one of the most special players I've seen.
God, he is.
I mean, he
really is. It's so hard to. But can you do we haven't seen that in the NFL? Now maybe he's special, but really, truly, who was the last guy you remember in college football who was one of those dynamic, was able to escape, do all sorts of those that would then move on to have success in the NFL? There's Michael Vick. Michael Vick was one. But we really haven't seen, those guys. Like, Vince Young was out of the league very fast.
Would you?
Marcus Mariota, it was a backup in the league. He was as dynamic. Jameis Winston, he was one of those guys, dynamic play. We all know about Johnny Football. But Jameis Winston, he's a backup in Cleveland. Like,
a couple guys.
I just wonder where. Maybe Caleb Williams is a one of one, but we don't, and doesn't have a comp, which I kind of like. But I don't know. Do those guys?
I mean, for Caleb Williams to have a comp, he's like a better and taller Kyler Murray is kind of what I would say, right?
Yeah.
So Kyler Murray's no knock on Kyler Murray other than being hurt. Like, we've all kind of forgot about him as he got hurt. But Kyler Murray was pretty solid there for a hot minute.
Made the playoffs.
Now
sat and pouted during the playoffs, but made the playoffs.
Now Williams.
Remember when he sat and pouted during the playoffs?
Oh, I do. But Williams is a more dynamic runner. I'll say that, Justin. But I raise you Andrew Luck, because that kid was #1 pick. I went back and looked. 2010, he had 500 yards rushing. So more fleet of foot than maybe we remember. And that kid was the same kind, it was lock stop. And that dude came in the Colts right away. And there's a reason Andrew Luck.
Well, they tried to lose every game
he was
to get
so
Andrew
good.
Luck. They was one of the biggest. And I've always said there's no tanking in the NFL.
That was a tank.
That was a tank.
It was suck for luck, man. I mean, I remember it so well.
But I mean, I guess I'm not a quarterback expert, but I think of when I watch Andrew Luck play and I watch Caleb Williams play, I don't see the same type of guy. You know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's
just as far as the game changing, because we knew Caleb Williams would be the #1 pick from basically when he left Oklahoma. People were like, this kid's probably going to be the top pick. And Andrew Luck kind of had that same thing. I'm just trying to think of someone. Trevor Lawrence, maybe, but even he hasn't done it at.
Yeah, that's why I'm just thinking of dynamic, scrambling around play, which I love those quarterbacks. They're fun to watch. I haven't really seen them.
Do we dare say Russell Wilson?
But he's a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
And a transfer.
Right.
And he really,
Right.
But maybe. Caleb Williams was a taller Russell Wilson in his prime. That's not a bad play, though. All right. Coming up next, we have got Make or Miss, 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, Rip City Radio, we want to take you up to the ball game. Head over to the contest page at ripcityradio.com for your chance to score a pair of tickets to each game of the weekend homestand when the Seattle Mariners take on the Texas Rangers. That's September 13th through the 15th at T-Mobile Park. Plus, 2 nights at Hotel 5. It's a Stay Pineapple Hotel with out-of-the-ordinary hotels and extraordinary locations. Enter today at ripcityradio.com. And remember, it is not too late to plan a trip to Seattle for a Mariners game this season at T-Mobile Park. For tickets, schedule, and information, visit mariners.com. Right now, let's dive into Make or Miss.
All right, firing up Make or Miss,
Yes.
Justin. There ain't no love in Oklahoma for Mike Gundy.
I mean, I see what he's doing, right? And I don't even
Cue up and all.
necessarily disagree with what he's doing. So for context, let's play the clip again. And I could have told you that, but let's play this clip again because I mean this is really, other than, I think, didn't Matt Rule a couple of years ago, or
The $1.5 million.
he came out and said the number. But other than that, like, the NIL stuff in college football has been very hush hush. We don't talk about politics and religion at the dinner table. We don't talk about we don't talk about NIL at the press conference. But Mike Gundy, he came out and he said the quiet part out loud. So here's Mike Gundy at practice a couple days ago.
That's what I
Don't
told
care
the
about that.
players.
You can just,
There's no negotiating
you
now.
can just,
Portal's over.
you can
All
enjoy-
negotiations history. Now we're playing football.
you can enjoy
Just
this
coaching and
crazy
playing
new
football.
conference and a 12-team playoff and
Yeah.
everything being so different, just the newness of it all.
Yeah, and you know the business side of what we do now is we have to have those conversations with them. You know, tell your agent to quit calling us and asking for more money. It's non-negotiable now. Start again in December. So now we're able to direct ourselves just at football, and that part is fun because there's been so much other stuff going on. It's been hard to really focus on football.
So here's a couple of things from this. We talked about it a ton in the first hour, but we'll reiterate because it's a fairly big story. I don't get the sense that he was asked that question. I get the sense that he came in with a bit of an agenda, because you heard the reporter there who kept interjecting because I think he wasn't answering the question, which, by the way, when a coach, anybody out there who is listening who might be maybe young and thinks about getting in the media, let me tell you, when someone is cooking, let them cook, okay? Let them cook. But I feel like the reporter was asking a question about, well, the newness of a 12-team playoff, and he's like, tell our agents to quit calling me. And it's like, whew, okay. I felt like that was probably directed at maybe one particular agent and maybe trying to make an example of it. But it's a bold move. It is a bold move. Now, there's going to be a couple of different outcomes here with NIL happening the way it is. The coaches could form, because there used to be decorum in these streets. What do I mean by that? There used to be, back in the day, kind of unwritten rules of recruiting, handshake agreements among gentlemen, right? Of like
Among gentlemen. It's like, are we creating the game of golf? Is this
I'm
the greatest
talking
game
about,
ever
you know,
played?
football back in like the 70s and the 80s, and even though there are probably plenty of people that went behind other coaches' back, there was an etiquette to recruiting, which is, you know what, if this kid is committed to us, you don't recruit them, right? And then obviously once the money got so big, it went out the door. I wonder if enough coaches at the highest level could just be like, hey, we all make like a pact that, like, you know what? We're not negotiating with players for money in the middle of the season. And we just kind of create. But there's always going to be one coach. And this is the problem with NIL. There's always going to be one coach who's going to be like, you can come play for us. Everything is being recruited against and everything is being recruited with. And I can tell you right now that some assistant coach, maybe at TCU, maybe at Texas Tech, Man, probably Colorado. Who is going to be in the living room of a recruit who is looking at Oklahoma State and going like, yeah, we'll listen to your financial needs. They won't call it negotiations. They'll say financial needs. Yeah, we take care of you. We'll take care of your financial needs. Mike Gundy, hope you're happy because he's not even going to talk to you about it in the season. We'll listen to what you have to say. It'll be recruited against. But interesting tactic because there's a big problem here that college football coaches have, which is for over 100 years, like literally over 100 years, they were getting paid and the players weren't. And they were able to negotiate contracts whenever they wanted to negotiate said contracts, and the players couldn't because they weren't getting paid, and they were able to leverage a new contract against another job, but the players couldn't because they couldn't transfer. And now when you complain about it, it rings a little hollow. Because it took the internet all of 1.8 seconds yesterday to find, Mike Gundy in talks with Tennessee. Oh, really, Coach? You want to negotiate? Now, I do understand what he's saying. I don't think he said it very well. But I think what he was saying was, hey, this whole thing with the 12-team playoff and a new Big 12 and a schedule that's very different, and you all are getting paid, and that's great, but at some point we got to put all that distraction aside, and we got to start focusing up. They have an incredibly hard opening game. Don't they play the FCS national champions? I think they played North Dakota State, I think. And they're going to be in a dog.
South Dakota State,
the Jackrabbits. Colorado played North Dakota State?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, put some respect on the Jackrabbits.
My
man.
apologies.
I love me the Jackrabbits. Coolest name in college football, maybe.
I mix up the Dakotas so much.
It's very easy to do.
The fact that there's two Dakotas is kind of weird,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Do we need two Dakotas? Now, I like having 50 states
Right,
and a
that's-
nice round number, but like,
we were at
could
47.
we add a state and
We must
and just make the Dakotas one?
I mean, that's like you think about it. Like the United States is so unique in the sense that, like, you're right, Justin. It probably happened that way because think about it. Alaska and Hawaii, they're kind of the late edition. So we have 48 forever.
Yeah.
But then, would you want to have 47 and have it just be one Dakota?
Yeah, or 49 now.
Right.
But like we could hack up California in two, right?
We could hack that up to 3 or 4, but like north, middle, south, right.
I mean, Idaho's trying to steal
That's true.
like
Right,
Ontario and the Grand and everything. You're not getting them, Idaho.
Yeah, but
you're
the
not.
fact
We're going to beat your behind on August 31st. Both the Bengals and the Vandals
I know, right?
are going to get smoke showed in Corvallis and Eugene.
true.
And you can kick rocks if you want to steal Klamath Falls. All
Crawl
right,
back.
you're not happening.
Yeah,
Crater Lake is ours, Idaho. You don't get it.
They can crawl back across the Snake River.
That's right. Or try to fly across it like Evil Knievel tried.
Again.
Timely reference. Google it, kids.
Oh yeah. But no, the I mean, I think that.
Yeah, can you imagine Idaho just like, yeah, Crater Lake's ours now. Try again.
Yeah, I mean,
Nope.
it's one of the.
It's ours.
But like with all that, like, I don't even think they'll ever be able to move off 50, Justin. Like, there's always been the make DC a state, make Puerto Rico. It's like
Now,
America's never gonna move off 50.
There's an awful lot of political things there that I don't know enough about
yeah,
as to why certain things are and certain things aren't. But if we were at 49, do you think DC would be a state so that we get 50? I think so too.
100%.
I think we just like the round number. I really do. Whether it benefits people or not, we don't care. It's like we like the round number.
It's like college football expansion. We bring in Puerto Rico. We also got to bring in someone else to make it an even number. So I'm just saying Puerto Rico is like Oregon State. Hey, we're here in America. We need some love. And everyone's like, you're not really a state. So there are some similarities.
Whole lot of things there.
Oh, gosh. All right, let's get into another one. But that was a make, no love in Oklahoma for Mike Gundy. In a pure fun.
Yeah, in a fun way, just because you got the Luke Combs song in there. That's still a
do.
banger of a song. You listen to
That
F1 Trillion?
Oh, it's so good.
I listen to F1 Trillion all weekend long.
It's so good.
I've listened to it.
Posty is back, baby.
I've listened to it at least 5 times through.
Yeah.
5 times through.
Early thoughts. I am going to play that Tim McGraw song until I'm probably tired of it.
Okay,
Absolutely love that banger. What Hank Williams? That one's a
good.
sneaky good one.
Hank Williams Jr. Now, Hank Williams Jr. got canceled for a little bit, but apparently he might be back now.
Okay, gotcha. Didn't know the context there.
Oh, yeah. Hank Williams Jr. went on TV one time, and he said
Okay,
stuff.
fair.
And Monday Night Football was like, well, you are not introing our show anymore. Like it used to be every Monday Night Football, it's how we got Carrie Underwood, because there was like, we got to have an opener. But Monday Night Football, it was, are you ready for some football? It was, it was a Hank Williams Jr. redid his All My Rowdy Friends Are Coming Over Tonight to the Monday Night Football song.
That was cool.
And then he went on TV and said some stuff.
Gotcha. Well, no excuses for it, but nevertheless, back to the music. I like that song. I really
He compared Obama to somebody that you're not supposed to. And,
okay, fair enough.
And ESPN said, Hank, sorry, we're gonna do a new song.
Yeah,
sorry,
we have a lot of.
And now I think they have Chris Stapleton. Well, they did last year. They had Chris Stapleton with In the Air Tonight. He redid In the Air Tonight.
That's such a good one.
Which some people thought sacrilege because of Phil Collins' version of In the Air Tonight should be untouchable. I don't disagree with that, but I also love Chris Stapleton so much.
Speaking of which, the Chris Stapleton one got me a little more.
I'm back on it. I love it.
Yeah, the more I listened to it, I liked it more. But tough choice for my favorite, either Tim McGraw or the one with.
I like how we don't even know the names of the songs.
I know,
it's just
right?
the person he did the song with.
Or the one with Ernest. The Devil I Know. I really, really like that one too. But like Justin said, I went down to Corvallis to drive down for the scrimmage on Saturday. That was on repeat, man. Like that was the summer album I needed. So, anywho, that was great. But let's go ahead and get on to next and make or miss. This is a little bit of old news, Justin. Slightly, but something we haven't touched on that I'd like to talk about. The CW should hire RG3 because ESPN did him dirty.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't, but it just looks dirty from the outset when I see
the timing of it is odd. It really is. Now, who knows when it comes to budgets?
More money for Pat McAfee, I'm sure.
I'm sure it has something to do with that. Or, well, I do know I think they're in negotiations with Stephen A. right now. And Stephen A. knows the Pat McAfee number.
Would he really leave? Would Stephen A. really leave ESPN? Like, can you leave? Even if, like, say, Fox gave you...
He is one of the few people who I think would have the ability to.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's big, obviously, but, like, if he's like, hey, I'm going to, I don't know, Undisputed, and we're on Fox, and they just outbid ESPN by just
I will say
ton of money.
And again, anybody that puts a headset on or talks into a microphone live has my ultimate respect as a current member of said media. It is not easy, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, Justin, you stink, and I'm like, that's fine. But some people like me. That being said, RG3 was not my favorite. You're not my favorite. Now, I have said for years and years and years, there is not a broadcaster that is so bad that it can ruin a game I want to see. It just doesn't exist for me. Some people don't feel that way. If I don't like them, I tend to tune them out. The only time it's the worst is when Tony Romo is calling a game and your team is losing. And it's not because I don't like Tony Romo. It's because my team is losing. And when your team is losing, it's, I don't know, Jim. It's just there it is, Jim. It's like, shut up, Tony Romo.
Good. It's like that of all your impersonations, Justin, that is 100% like you copy and paste.
But I can only do it when he's talking to Jim Nance. I don't know, Jim. I think they're going to go for it here. It's just, I don't know. The linebackers sucked right up into there. What do you think, Jim?
It's so accurate.
And that's fun when your team is winning. And I'm like, hey, Tony Romo really brings a lot of energy.
Except when you're losing.
When your team is losing, it is shut the bleep up, Tony Romo. I don't want to hear you. And I feel like maybe and RIP to Bill Walton. I feel like a lot of people felt that way about Bill Walton.
I loved Bill.
It's like if you didn't care about the game, it was the best. And if he was calling a game where your team was winning, it was the best.
Yes.
If your team was losing,
I'd listen to my stories about the Great Willamette Valley and the gorgeous river that runs and
until he
grows
starts
these-
talking about how that might be the worst pass in conference history, and it's like,
God, I love Bill.
so
Like, yeah, R.I.P. Man, I love.
That
me
being
some Bill.
said, while there are some broadcasters I like and some that not my fave, I've never. Not since I was a kid and when I hated Tim McCarver as a kid because I felt like he hated the Braves. But I've never really had a broadcaster where I'm like, I can't watch it. If it's a game I want to watch,
I would agree.
I can't. There's not one out there. RG3 wasn't my favorite.
Do you remember the?
But I got to imagine this was, if it was performance-based, I'm surprised. Why wouldn't they let him go in the spring?
Yeah, it was
That's
odd.
the surprising
and
thing.
And the reason I threw it out there is I basically.
And I think Sam Ponder's very, very good.
Yeah.
Like NFL Countdown, not my favorite show.
You know who wasn't very good?
But I thought Sam Ponder was good.
Yeah, well, I said. Remember when everybody thought her husband was going to be a star?
Christian Ponder from Florida State.
People thought that dude was going to be a star for the longest
The
time.
Vikings.
Yeah. But just back.
Isn't it funny the way we talk about quarterbacks?
Oh,
because
yeah.
even guys we say stink,
Mitch Trubisky are so good.
they're so
Yeah,
good.
it's like we say that about like Mitchy Mitch.
There's maybe
yeah.
60 people on the planet of 7 billion
Oh yeah.
that are capable of doing that. And
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
yeah, that guy stinks.
I mean, yeah. Let's look at it like
we are roasting Daniel Jones right now for throwing a pick six in a preseason
yeah.
game. And Daniel Jones is so good at quarterback
Like, let's just look okay.
compared to the 7 billion people on the planet.
Oh yeah, and I think it's actually 8 now, Justin.
Is it
I
up?
think we're getting close to
Okay.
8, if not there yet. But to your point, just let's do this for fun. Who do you think is the worst starting quarterback in the league right now? And I just want to then compare him to
The worst starting quarterback in the league, whoever the Patriots decide to start,
okay.
will be
So
the
let's
worst,
just say
right?
it's Jacoby Brissett for sake of argument. Jacoby Brissett, you go put him at Oregon, at Alabama.
Heisman.
Or is
Not
that
even
is that a
close.
stretch? Or is that too much of like
No. It's
like-
100%
like
correct.
could Jacoby Brissett be like, hey, I'm going to Oregon State and just cook? Or
Yeah.
I don't know, right?
That's how good those guys are in the NFL. That is how good those guys are
Like
in
that
the
part
NFL.
of the argument is like we always talk about like, oh, can
Even
the-
like Geno Smith, right?
Yeah.
Geno Smith leaves a little bit to be desired.
Sure,
but
sure.
he's so
like you put Geno Smith on the Ducks or the Beavers?
not
Like,
even that. You put him on the Beavs, and like they would be
I'd
so
take-
good.
I'd take
Or
Geno
like
Smith.
you take Geno Smith and you put him on the Washington Huskies right now.
They'd probably
They
would-
win the Big Ten. That's how good he is.
See, now that is just really
It's a hot-
hard for me
it's
to
a hot-
comprehend.
I know, but like the leap from college to NFL is so unbelievably big.
Like that.
And anybody that can that's why the whole Brock Purdy thing. Like I
Right.
know, like, oh, Brock Purdy's like, you can't win in the NFL if you are not
accidentally.
unbelievable. Yeah, there's no accidental win in the NFL. It is that tough of a place to go. And if you truly stink, you can't just accidentally win in the NFL.
Mitch Trubisky might have accidentally won a few games.
He's still good.
I know. I just remember that
He
year.
just is not elite.
How did the Bears win 11 games that year, and how the heck did he become a Pro Bowl quarterback? I know
That's he's
like-
not because he's a good quarterback. He's just
I know.
the step from being capable, right? Not even good, but capable of playing in the NFL to being playoff level is such a huge step. It's so big, which is why CJ Stroud is so impressive. What CJ Stroud did last year was absolutely so electric. But yeah. What was the question again? Oh yeah, RG3 to the CW.
Yeah, I've heard there's rumors, and it's probably going to happen because Pac-12 and CW have this weird like
Mhm.
quasi thing where it's like, hey, it's going to be on the CW, but like everybody who worked at Pac-12 Network,
Yeah.
except for Yogi Roth, he's gone.
Yogi's Big Ten.
Yeah, he out. But I think most of
Mike Yam?
the NFL Network.
He's the NFL Network, but I thought
Was he coming? I didn't see anything with Mike, but that doesn't mean I haven't seen nothing, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I know
Okay.
like Ashley Adamson, but there are still
she's Big Ten.
Yeah, there are still some who stuck around and will theoretically call Oregon State and Washington State
Like,
games this year.
like Teddy Rob?
Maybe
Is Teddy Rob? gonna be
Yeah,
calling
like, I know they
Beaver
kept-
and Coug games?
they kept a handful.
Where's Bernstein? Where's Roxy?
I think he went to ESPN.
Did he
Yeah,
go to
I think
ESPN?
he's like, yeah.
He's really
all
good.
he is, and I'm like,
Ted Robbins is really good too.
and I don't
though.
blame anybody for taking off. Like, there's Justin, you went from 12 teams to 2. You
Yeah.
need half the play-by-play broadcasters or less, you
A
know?
whole lot less than half. All right, coming up next, we have got Get Off My Lawn to wrap up hour number 2, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, it is time to wrap up hour number 2. It is a Tuesday. Sun is shining outside. It's going to be a beautiful Tuesday here in the Portland Metro in the Willamette Valley. And, summer in the Willamette Valley is about as good as it is anywhere. And I've been all over this great country, and there are some great places, but boy.
Pretty rough August, though. I'm not gonna lie, Justin.
There's been some roughness, and yeah, we did have a storm on Saturday. But you know what? We get one storm, like the storm that we had on Saturday. Like people in the Midwest get like once a week, right? So summers here in the Willamette Valley is about as good as you are going to get anywhere. Which brings me to today's Get Off My Lawn. Real quick, you guys know the drill. Tuesday, it's the grumpiest day of the week. You have sucked it up and got it through Monday, but we're not quite to the middle of the week yet. And, on Tuesdays, patience gets a little bit short. Rather than keep that negativity down, we let it out. And we embrace some of the things that make us a little bit grumpy. And while we get it out, then we all feel better and we move on about our day. So it is time for today's edition of Get Off My Lawn. Here we go. Halloween, get off my lawn. It's too early for you. It is too early for you. 2 places that I grocery shop. I am a Costco guy, and I'm a Winco guy. Once a week, go to the Winco. My bank account thanks me. And 2 places in August already have Halloween decorations and Halloween costumes up and prominently featured. I think it started August. When did Halloween infiltrate the month of August? That happened out of nowhere. And so it used to be when I was a kid, the worst part of August is you would go to the Fred Meyer in Roseburg and you would see back to school time, and you get that sick feeling in your stomach because summer's almost over and you're going to have to go buy back to school supplies. And then all of a sudden, August just became quasi-fall. And listen, as much as I love the summer, I love the fall as well. Football's on the way. Like, Justin, you've been talking about football nonstop. Like, are you a bit of a hypocrite? Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, I've been talking about football all summer long, and football is still 11 days away. And I'm going to sit here and complain about people getting a head start on Halloween. But that being said, can we at least wait until after Labor Day? Just like in my pleas of Christmas to maybe wait until after Thanksgiving, which is never going to happen. Apparently now, before Labor Day, who is buying these Halloween decorations? Clearly somebody is, or else they wouldn't put them out. And who is buying these Halloween costumes? When I was a kid, I changed my mind every other week about who I wanted to be for Halloween. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a Ghostbuster. I want to be Hulk Hogan. I want to be the Macho Man. Change your mind each and every week. Who's buying Halloween costumes for children in August? That seems like a very scary investment of a group of people. I'm talking about the little ones, the youngins, as they say. Just said youngins. Who changed their mind an awful lot. And by the way, I love Starbucks, and I love pumpkin spice lattes, and I love their apple cider cold foam, and I love all the fall drinks. But you know what? Can we wait till it gets a little bit below 70 on the thermostat before we start pumping out pumpkin spice lattes? Because I've already saw that they are on the way. Now, they're not here, but they are on the way. Just pump the brakes a little bit, Halloween.
I do love Halloween, but the adult version. So I'm all in on.
I love Halloween too. Maybe not as much as I used to in my 20s. But I do. Brenden, I love Halloween. I love. You know what the best part about having a house on kind of a quiet street is when the neighborhood kids come over and I get to be the hero, and they're like, "Duh, go over to Myers' house because he goes big handfuls of Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah,
you get the big handfuls at my house, and you start boom, boom. I love it, but you know what? You know what I don't love it? August 20th. It's August 20th. I was at the store on Sunday. All right, I can do the math. That's the 18th. We were barely into the second half of August, and I got to see ghouls and goblins and Halloween directions. decorations. That's what I'm saying. I'm too fired up. Can we at least get past Labor Day a little bit?
I mean,
Can we get past Labor Day a little bit before we start pumping out the Halloween stuff? Can we let the kids enjoy the summer before they have to have the anxiety of trying to figure out what they're going to be for Halloween? Who decides what they're going to be for Halloween in August? Who?
you kind of know, like, should I, like, I don't know, like, even now, Justin, like, I 100% know what I will be.
Can I guess what you're going to be for Halloween?
If
Can
I
I
get
can
invited-
I guess?
If I get invited to a costume party, sure.
If you get invited to a costume party, you are going to be Glenn Powell from Twisters. That's who you're going to be. You're going to be, if you can feel it, chase it. You are going to be Glenn Powell from Twisters with your cowboy hat on and just.
So, all honesty, Justin.
Yeah.
That wasn't where I was gonna go. It's a great idea. In all honesty,
You feel free to change your mind.
that'd be cool. That would be cool. But I was all in on getting a silver wig and going Targaryen this year. All in on getting a silver wig, man. So, but again, as an adult, you need a costume party, drinking party to go to because I don't go out and trick or treat. And
Nor should you, because trick-or-treating is
Right,
for the
and-
children. That
and-
would be very weird. Could you imagine if you just dressed up as a Targaryen?
That'd be great.
And you went through your Sherwood neighborhood, just
big old pillowcase.
big old pillowcase. They're like, oh, is your little brother here? Nope,
Nope, just me.
just me.
It's classic. But no, like, see, that's why kids go to
Why
Justin's
should
house.
kids get all the candy? Come on.
Kids go to Justin's house, folks, because I think we're on like the end of a dead end street, Justin. We put out a bullet can. We get like 2 people per year.
Yeah,
Like,
we get
it's-
about 2 or 3. I only get like the neighborhood kids.
Yeah,
and,
like it's slow.
and I want to prove that like this is not the scary house at the end, and so I give them big handfuls of candy. Now that being said, it's August 20th. Costco, pump your brakes a little bit.
Timely reference. Wake me up when September ends. Then we can talk about this, Justin.
Green Day.
I think so. Yeah,
Almost
yeah.
positive
Green Day.
that's
yeah.
Green Day.
Yeah, I'm like, so that'd be fine. October 1st, let's talk about Halloween. That works.
I'm just saying, I'll even give you Labor Day. Can we get past Labor Day before you start buying inflatable pumpkins for the front yard and start buying, Princess Elsa? Is that a thing? I think it is. Niece.
Oh, yeah.
So, to Halloween and the Halloween propaganda machine that has invaded now the second half of August, you all get right off my lawn. Devon Pouncey joins the show for the full third hour coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio.
8 a.m. on a Tuesday, Brendan Slaughter with you. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert returns to practice after missing all of camp with a foot injury. He's expected to be ready to roll week 1 for Los Angeles. Over in college football, Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy says players and agents have to stop asking for more NIL money, saying December is the time to have those conversations. And over in the NFL, the Commanders have officially named the second overall pick, Jaden Daniels, their starting quarterback. It is, however, the 7th straight season with a different starting quarterback for Washington, so they'll be looking for some consistency from Daniels. Coming up, we've got Devon Pouncey in studio for the entire third hour. You've got Rip City Mornings, Hour 3, coming up.
And welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Tuesday. Our Tuesday just got better because our good friend from the Wake Up and Win podcast, basketball analyst for your Rip City Remix, friend of the program, Devon Pouncey, back in the studio. How we doing, bud?
I'm standing up like you in studio today.
There we go. I like it. I like it.
Standing up like you, my man. But doing great. Glad to be here always.
You want to know what's funny where I got this? Because you know this when we would do our old show.
Yeah.
I also stood up
For sure.
the entire time doing that show. And people have asked me, why do you do that? And I ripped it off from Lars Larson.
Really?
So
I never knew that.
yeah. So
And I was there.
say what you will about Lars, and some
Yeah.
people say lots of things about Lars, and we worked with him
For sure.
And believe it or not, he is a kick in the pants. The fun we used to have in that office when
It used
Lars
to
would
be
walk
wild.
in and you start messing with him, and he couldn't help himself.
He couldn't help himself.
But say what you will about it. That guy drew a lot of ears.
Yeah.
Drew a lot of
For
numbers. And I'm like, all right, well. And he's like, yeah, I like to stand up, and I like to, in his Lars voice.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I just always stood up, and I was like, I feel way more comfortable. And then when I went and did TV,
Yeah.
and I had to sit down, I hated it.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Only time I stand up is when I do college football. I do play-by-play for Pacific, as you know, but many of you listening may not know. But I do play-by-play, and the booth is just not made for being able to sit down and get a full view of the entire field. So I kind of just have to stand up just based on the way, things were built, if you will, for me to be able to. I get most of the field sitting down, but I don't get all of it, and I like to have the full-length view of the field. So I stand up during college football games, but other than that, I'm chilling. I like to sit down and just kick back and just have fun with it.
Well, doing remix games, it would be pretty tough to be standing. That would be actually kind of funny. Because what, are you like 6'3"?
6'4".
6'4"? Didn't mean to short you, my bad.
Even now, my feet are spread much further than shoulder width for me to be able to actually see into this camera that's in front of me. But, I don't want them to be looking at my neck on YouTube or something. Wizard Kelly from the Proud Family.
I just think it would be funny. And while the remix game's very affordable.
Yes.
Very fun place to take the whole family. But I got second row seats, remix, let's go. And then Pounce just standing up for the whole game right in front of us.
It would be tough. It would be tough for sure. But I sit down. I stay seated.
Question for you. Probably should have prepped you for this. We were talking about this earlier. Do you do fantasy football?
I do.
You do okay.
I do. I'm in a couple of leagues.
Okay, so you and Brenden, you're going to outnumber me because I am not a fantasy football guy.
Really?
Yeah. It surprises many people, but and I keep getting invited. I actually got another email this morning. It's one of those things. I liken it to a Bloody Mary.
Okay.
I really want to like them. I just don't.
Is it the V8? Is it the tomato juice?
It's the tomato juice.
It's the tomato juice.
It's the tomato juice. I've tried.
Yeah.
You know me, Pounce. I love brunch.
Yeah.
I am a day drinker by trade. I go to bed early. I really want to and I see the Bloody Marys at the bar, at the brunch, and I'm like, that looks good. And I've tried it, and I just doesn't
Can't
take.
get jiggy with it.
Just can't. Pickles. I want to like pickles.
I like pickles.
I'm
I'm with you on the Bloody Mary, but I like pickles though.
It's true. My wife loves pickles. Brenden, you like pickles?
I do. Bloody Marys are nasty.
Yeah, well, I think we're all in the same way with that. I'm not the biggest V8 guy myself.
Yeah, it's just
Could have had
tough.
a V8, Devon.
That was, by the way,
Remember that thing?
in the 80s, like,
My
and even
goodness,
in
that
the
was annoying.
90s, like the epitome of health was like, oh, I'm gonna get a V8.
Yeah.
So it turns out not at all the truth, but
Right.
But regardless, like, yeah, it's like whether it's pickles, whether it's like bloody, it's just like fantasy football is something that I see where people love it.
Yeah.
I've tried it. I just could never get into it. It just never quite clicked with me.
Interestingly enough, obviously my jam is basketball. I'm the same way when it comes to doing fantasy basketball, NBA,
Yeah.
but it's a lot different because you play so many games in a week. For football, you play one game a week, you know what I'm saying? Make sure, between Monday and Thursday before kickoff that you set your lineup and you get more time to do it, where basketball is so constant. It's ebbing and flowing because guys are playing 3 and 4 games a week, so you're like constantly switching your lineup. I don't necessarily have the time for that, but for football, I enjoy it because it keeps me tapped in with what's going on around the league through players. You know what I'm saying? Like through different players that I may have on my team. It'll allow me to obviously see what they're doing because I need them to produce points for me to be able to win from week to week, but also it'll keep me kind of in tune with what that team is doing. So I think fantasy football actually helps me for that because I don't catch every game on Sunday or Monday or Thursday or whatever the case may be, but fantasy keeps me locked in.
I told Brenden this morning. There are a couple of things. One is just I like just rooting for my team.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to root for Green Bay's tight end because I got him.
You've never been a Raider fan. It makes you hard to just root for your
That
team.
is true.
Yeah, because when your team's never good, the only thing that'll keep you interested is your fantasy team.
Gardner Minshew, though.
Yeah.
Here comes the stash, baby.
For sure. But
It'll be fun to
we'll see.
watch.
It'll
Don't
be
know
fun
if we're
to
going to win a
watch,
lot of
but
games,
yeah,
but it'll be fun to watch.
It's the team I want to root for.
So
it's the team.
I think my team might stink this year. So neither here nor there. But yeah, I haven't had a losing season in a long, long time as a Steelers fan.
It's different.
But so I don't like the. And then the other thing, and Brenden, I don't even think we talked about this on the air. You get in these fantasy football groups, right? And a lot of it is old friends.
Yeah.
And I have some friends who are doofuses.
Okay.
I love them, but they're doofuses.
For sure.
And I'm like,
I get that.
I can't believe I lost to that guy. Here I am, a professional sports talk show host. Some may laugh at the professional, but they pay me, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I just lost to this doofus. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to quit.
I think more than that. Does
that drive you nuts though? Like you played college athletics.
Yeah.
You are in the sports media world.
For sure.
And then there's got to be somebody. We don't need to name names. So you're just like, no way I'm losing to this guy. And you do? Oh, that's the worst.
I think what's worse, and I think, kind of alluding to like the doofus piece, and I'm not here to call the people in my fantasy league doofuses, but there is a pretty big disconnect in the way like that I talk my mess and the way that they talk their mess. Because obviously I went to college at Pacific University in Forest Grove, and I'm in like a bar league that I've been in since I was in college because I used to like DJ and KJ at this like little mini dive bar way out in the sticks when I was in college, and like the staff there were all into football. So they had Sunday football. So totally different worlds that we all come from. But, we came together to for me to DJ at a bar. They owned and like worked at the bar. And it's just the way they approach their crap talking, especially we got like a group chat. It's a lot different than the way that I do it. And so sometimes like I'm in the group chat, especially if I'm winning, because I get to talk my mess. But sometimes I kind of like find my way out of there because it's like, all right, I have zero interest in what it is y'all are talking about, football-wise or sometimes otherwise, when they just are bringing up anything and just, their slang is a little different than mine, and I don't care to like keep up with the thread.
You mean I don't want to say dive bar, but your Forest Grove country-ish bar, rural, let's say,
Rural.
maybe not a
That's
rural,
that rural.
bar,
Way to do it. Way to
which
do it.
I love so much. They get pull tabs.
Yeah.
Oh, if you got pull tabs, you are my kind of place.
Rural.
Pull tabs, man.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
And if the 3 beers on tap, that is it. And we have some pull tabs. And that's all we're
When was the
getting.
last time you played pull tabs?
I don't know.
They're
but-
closed now, though. The bar is
Oh.
closed now. Yeah,
R.I.P.
they shut down. R.I.P. R.I.P.
But
I did some in Washington.
But the
league
league is still alive.
the league lives on.
Bar League. It's still called Bar League 7 years later.
That's cool.
You on your group chat, Brendan? Do you
I am.
Do you do the trash talking? Or do you just kind of lay low and like a silent assassin?
It's always the youth, man. I've got my younger brothers in the league, a couple guys that are younger than me, but like, man, when I brought in my brother at like 16, he's like, I'm gonna start trash talking everybody, kind of a thing. But yeah, it's all in good fun in our league. Like we're all really close. We're either, friends, family, college roommates, all that kind of stuff. But oh yeah, no, like there's times like where it gets serious. Like I remember my brother and I played each other when we lived together at the time and played each other. And it was like Thanksgiving. We're like, yeah, we can't watch football together because we're rooting actively against each other. So like, it can get a little intense, but mostly all fun.
All right, let's talk about your Raiders real quick.
Let's do it.
How we feel, because we are 2 weeks and a couple of days from the opening of the NFL season. Gardner Minshew, you're going to be your starting quarter. I love it. I love the move.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Gardner Minshew is just one of those guys that he reminds me a little bit like Ryan Fitzpatrick back in the day, where it's like he is good enough to start, but he's not really good enough to be a franchise quarterback.
For sure.
But I think he is smart enough to know that Devontae Adams gets the ball.
Yep.
And whereas I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo was smart enough to realize that, hey, I know he might not be open, but he needs to get the ball.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a risk.
As much as possible.
Yeah. Take that risk.
And I feel like Gardner Minshew will understand that. But, last year, 8-9 last year.
Yeah, not bad.
Coming off of
Not
a
the
fire,
worst.
coach, you, Antonio Pierce.
I'm an AP guy. That's what excites me the most.
And I will hand up confess, because I remember Antonio Pierce when he got into a little trouble at Arizona State.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a terrible decision. I was like, nope. Turns out he understands the locker room. He understood the team. Team rallied around him.
Yeah.
Had a successful second half of the year. I am going to be interested to see, like, now, not really interim, but full-time head coach. Players seem to love. Max Crosby's a beast.
Love Mad
Dude,
Max.
that guy's a beast.
I love Mad Max. I think what
Of
with
all
the
I know
Raiders,
Devontae Adams might be your best player, but as a Steeler
he's my
fan,
favorite Raider is
I'd get
Max.
Max Crosby in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And I think Max Crosby identifies most with like what Raider football has been historically, and I think AP understands what Raider football has been historically. Obviously, we weren't great in Oakland, but I think the vibe, if you will, going to those games at the Coliseum in Oakland, that Oakland fan base, and just how kind of smash mouth and just flat out crazy that we were out there. I think we lost a little bit of that juice going to Vegas. I look at playing in Vegas like a neutral site because fans from every team are just to have the opportunity to see their football team play in Las Vegas against the Raiders, where you also expect to win because we just haven't been that great in such a long time. You almost get like intruded with just about half the stadium as the opposing team's fans. It was not like that in Oakland. So I think we need to kind of lean back into our brand of football, which is a little more smash mouth, which is a little more, Max Crosby-ish, if you will. But also I think AP understands that type of football as well, and we kind of rallied around him in that regard for us to be able to build our fan base back up in Vegas and to, like, make it a little bit intimidating for anybody, fans or teams, to want to come into this beautiful looking stadium here.
It's nice, too.
And have to play against the Raiders. Yeah, you went to a concert there.
I was just there.
I drove by it, but I haven't been to the actual stadium, but I was at Summer League last month, and I've seen it other times, but I haven't been to a game yet.
The best way to describe it is clean.
Yeah.
Like it's not overcomplicated. It is clean. And I'm looking at the schedule right now, and I would say Steelers in Vegas in October. I was like, maybe Pounce Myers road trip. It's October 13th. Oregon, Ohio State's the day before. I can't make it.
Yeah, you can't make that.
I can't make that. All right, coming up next, though, couple of we got some basketball stuff. We got a schedule.
Yes, sir.
Maybe some TV talk as well. And also, Carmelo Anthony says he would not trade his gold medals for NBA championship
with it
rings.
all.
So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more next. 620 Rip City Radio. Devon Pouncey from the Rip City Remix and the Wake Up and Win podcast joining us live in studio for the entire third hour.
That's
and, right. Since we have last spoke, we got a schedule.
Yes, sir.
We got a schedule.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last week because for a long, long time, Pounce, I think Blazer fans, when they first get the schedule, the first thing they do, and I don't know if it's just Blazer fans, I think maybe every fan base outside of the Lakers and maybe the Celtics, and they probably do it too. You look at the schedule and go, where did the league screw us?
Yeah,
right? It's
for sure.
like, oh, look at this road trip. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The league is trying to screw us. But it's interesting now where there seems to be kind of a sense of reality kind of washing over Blazer fans, to whereas I think they have reached the depths of this rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're on the way up.
Yes.
Now, the way up is not going to be fast,
Right.
and it's not going to be all that pretty. But I do feel like with the Blazers, I think they reached their depth. But it's interesting looking at the schedule ahead. There's like a sense of reality of like, all right, definitely not going to play on Christmas.
Yeah.
There's one TNT game.
Yeah.
And that's when Dame returns.
For sure.
There's a handful of NBA TV, but there's not going to be an awful lot of nationally televised games, which might not matter as much. More on that in a little bit.
For
but
sure.
it's an interesting way of kind of now looking at the schedule from a sense of reality of, I think they're going to be better. I like what Joe Cronin is building. I really do. But it's going to be a slow uphill climb to get back into to relevancy.
Yeah, I mean, I would give the team the grace to be able to have that slow climb. I also think that in other aspects, though, that we are going to see some improvements, maybe a little bit faster than we expected, because we've had, you got a Scoot, obviously, who's a point guard and who we know is kind of the guy that we look to be the face of this whole team, and eventually at some point one of the faces of the league. But Scoot's been playing professionally for a little while. Of course, he had to adapt coming into his rookie season, playing in the big leagues in the NBA, but coming from the G League, you know what I'm saying, coming into his first year in the NBA, things started off a little bit rocky for him. He dealt with some injury, kind of got to sit back a little bit, came back and started playing really well. But I thought that we saw great progression just from the beginning of the season to the end of the season individually from a lot of players. I think Aiden was one of those guys as well, coming off of, what we think was an unhappy tenure with Phoenix, even though they were really good. Came here, obviously struggled a little bit early on, then kind of started being a really dynamic big man. I think we got a good draft pick in Klingon. So I do think that the team deserves the grace. I think Shayton is going to come back and be a problem as well. And I just don't think that we're going to deal with nearly the amount of injuries that we did last season. If we do, we just got bad luck, all right? So I understand that, you want kind of this, you're willing to give the grace for a slow grind for them to be able to get back to relevancy. But I still think that there's a slither of a chance, and I might be a little bit optimistic here that, this year you try to maybe compete to try to be a play-in team.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you get a play-in spot. I mean, again, that's number 10. That's really still not saying too much. But
it's not saying too much.
You know what
it's
I'm
true.
saying? But you still, at least last year, we knew like that was out of the realm of possibility with this team, especially with the injuries, the significant amount of time that so many guys sat out throughout the course of the season. I just don't think you have that this year, and that's why I agree with you that I think we've hit rock bottom already, and the only way to go is up. Now it's just about how fast that trajectory towards, again, relevancy is going to be. And I think it'll be a little bit different because I just would imagine we won't have as worse of luck from an injury standpoint.
It's interesting you brought up Shaedon Sharpe. We were talking about it on the show yesterday. Did you see the video of him dropping 40-something in some Canadian Pro-Am?
He's a dog.
And so, because what's interesting is everybody, and I get the excitement of the Cooper Flag video of him playing against the. Are we going with the Avengers? Is that the thing?
They're going with the Avengers, so I don't know that we have a choice at this point.
I don't know if
But I like it because
like
I
the
like
Redeem Team, like that's stuff.
Just watch Marvel movies, Justin. You'll get it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I haven't watched enough of the Avengers.
I put my own twist on it. I'm like, okay, we'll be the Avengers this year. I think France is going to try to get their lick back in 2028 on our soil, the way that we were just able to take them out on their soil. And it'll kind of be this thing of the Avengers versus the Revengers.
Oh,
and
there
we'll
you
see.
go.
And we'll see how this
You've already
thing plays
set up
out. I've
2028.
set up
I like that.
2028 already. The Avengers versus the Revengers. We'll see. Wemby could very well be the best player in the world in 4 years. And so we'll see how it all goes. We'll see how it goes.
So, I get the excitement that the select team and when Cooper Flag is knocking down shots, but it was like, it was like a minute and a half of highlights
For sure.
of him looking very comfortable, unafraid, very poised against the best players in the world. So I get that excitement. And granted, this was a Canadian Pro-Am, but if before the draft you saw this video that we saw of Shaden Sharp playing a Pro-Am game in Canada, if you were a Blazer fan, you're like, that guy's on our team?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like he's kind of been like the forgotten piece because of the injuries.
Right.
And I think they've been, how shall I put this, ultra cautious when it comes to injuries because they also want to lose games and have had to lose games. Like that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like going into like year 3, the fact that we know like his talent and ability, but we really haven't seen Shaden fully unleashed. And it was just interesting watching that video of him playing and draw like 42 in some Pro-Am game. Probably not a lot of defense. I get it. But if you would have saw that video, not knowing anything else, you'd be very, very excited about that guy coming and playing for your team.
I mean, yeah, and I think he's come in and, when he's available and been on the floor, like you have certainly seen, him be able to play to that type of a level. You've seen his ability to be able to score it at a high level. You've seen his athleticism, one of the most athletic players in the league, probably a future dunk contest contestant, if he wants to be. Of course, we know how that goes with the dunk contest. But, like, you've seen the potential that Shaden Sharp has as much as you can, because obviously, we'll talk about potentially shortly here the TV deal as well. but I go to enough games to where I've gotten to see Shaden Sharp, and his potential is through the roof, and I think he has potential to be a star in this league. We just want to see more of that. And again, he's also still really young. You got to give him that grace as well to grow into that. But based on that video that you alluded to, and just based on the time he has been available with the Blazers, like, he's got some promise, and I think that we'll be able to see a lot more of that promise this upcoming season. Again, fingers crossed, hoping that we don't deal with nearly the amount of injuries that we have, especially this past season.
Devon Pouncey, he is the basketball analyst for the Rip City Remix, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Rip City Remix, now that's on free local TV.
That is.
And I was lucky enough to watch most of the broadcasts that you guys were able to do. And it feels like, now they haven't announced it yet, but they have announced that the Blazers were parting ways from Root, which to me, Pounce, it never really fit.
Yeah.
Just it never was quite a fit. And I think also, looking forward, and we don't need to dive in because I know you don't know anything, and if you did know, you're not going to tell me anyways.
Yeah, but I don't. To be fair, I don't.
But even if you did,
yeah. I hear
I'm not going to be the one you tell.
Yeah. I mean,
Not right
off
now
the record,
on this
baby.
microphone. But I do think it is a good move because I think this is where the league is going.
Yes.
Everybody watches TV on their phones or their tablet or stream it to the big TV in front.
Facts.
Cable's going away. It was never quite a good fit. And the Blazers have had kind of this problem over the last decade, really, of, well, they were on Comcast, which became NBC Sports Northwest, my old employer. They weren't on DirecTV.
Yeah.
Then they got on Root. Okay, so now Root's on DirecTV. Well, they don't have a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Can't stream it. Everybody is watching TV on streaming. So now looking forward and looking at what the Jazz did and what the Phoenix Suns did in putting it on free local TV, then offering up a subscription model to stream if you were out of the area. Other than, I think, again, I always bring up Lakers, Knicks, because they got the MSG network.
Yeah.
That's not going anywhere.
Right.
Lakers, Celtics, Knicks. Other than those major markets, I think this is the way the NBA is going.
Yeah.
I really do. I love the way the Jazz did it. I think asking fans out of market to pay $14 a month is not insane.
Yeah.
And it gets you with, I think, the biggest possible exposure.
Yes.
Going forward, which I think it's a nice thing to kind of control your own house, right? You don't have to worry about how many games TNT picks up. You don't have to worry about Roots has kicked you to channel 1247 or whatever because the Kraken went into overtime, right? And the Kraken aren't even on Root anymore. So I do think it is a good thing moving forward because I think that's where the league's going.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's where the league's going. I think that's where the world is going from a streaming standpoint. But also, I do think you have to consider your locals. And I was calling games and still am going to be calling games on Fox 12. With the remix. And I think that was, it was accessible for a lot of people here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the people I work with, I'm talking about, I work for Street Roots. I work with people that are impoverished, people that are unhoused, and they do care about the Blazers, but they have zero chance and had zero chance of being able to watch the Blazers on Root. But they would watch our games, the remix games on Fox 12, and all the time would come to me, while I'm in Old Town and while I'm at Street Roots and be like, hey, I heard you and watched you on TV, which is, it's cool to see and cool to hear, but also it's like there's a reach beyond maybe, sometimes some of the people that we all may consider, but like they've got bunny ears, you know what I'm saying? And maybe whether they're in low-income housing or whatever the case may be. So I just think all around, when you talk about being all-encompassing for this community here, that, yes, streaming, is definitely where things are going, I think, generally for folks that watch TV. But also I do believe, like, considering the locals, you're going to have the most reach on a local access channel from regardless of class, if you will. And so I think, going that direction is definitely a way that I would like to see things go. Again, I don't know where things will be going, but I would imagine that it would be maybe sort of a hybrid where we'll have some, games on local access channels, but also maybe have some kind of streaming package as well. That would be my guess, and I think that would be the right move.
Especially because if you were, like, in the middle of a rebuild, the last thing you want to do is make it hard for fans to find games.
Yes.
And
yes.
I knew where the games were because I work in the biz.
Exactly.
I just said the biz.
You're here.
I just said it. I didn't like it as soon as
it's the truth. It's the truth.
But I know where the games are because it's my job to know. I could only imagine if, like, even like, Joe Sixpack sits down, or Gene Sixpack, whoever, sits down with cable and it's like, Blazers, they're en route. Put it on, and it's a hockey game. You're like,
yeah.
What? So I got to go to Root Sports Plus.
That wasn't easy to find either.
It wasn't.
What, channel 1256 or whatever the heck it was?
And so even if you could talk into your remote, sometimes it's so.
That's true.
I do think when you are in a rebuild mode and you want as many fans sticking around as possible, the easier it is for them to find your games, the better, which is why I think this was a tremendous move. And a move that I don't know where the financials are. And again, nothing I like better than spending billionaires' money. Hypothetically, do it with Phil Knight all the time. So, what you should do down in Eugene? But I do think they probably took a bit of a financial hit in making the move, but it is better for the fans.
Yeah.
And when you're in a rebuild and you want to get the fan base again back on track, making games easier to watch is the best possible way to do it.
It's the same way as you kind of want the broadcast to, as much as it can, mirror the actual event. And what I mean by that, and alluding to what you're saying, is the prices go drastically down during a rebuild.
Yeah.
But that's because you still want fans to be able to come, have this experience, be able to stay connected to the team, even though we might be in a rebuild phase. And, the demand might not be as great as it's been in years past, especially, after you lose a top 75 player of all time, You still want fans to be able to come to these games, stay in tune with these teams. So you drop those ticket prices so more people in the community can have access to these games that maybe wouldn't otherwise if we were a contender per se, or a team that has gone on a nearly decade playoff run.
Yeah.
But I think the same goes for the broadcast. You want to be able to give the most amount of people in your market the ability to access and watch these games during a rebuild, because maybe you aren't the commodity that you once were at a particular point in time, as I kind of just mentioned, and you want to be able to stay connected to this community and keep them dialed in during this time period, and not wait until, maybe the rebuild works out and now we got something steady here, and then everybody kind of just try to come back, and now there's a lot of people that don't have the access that they potentially could have had during those rebuild times. So I think the broadcast mirrors a lot what you want the event to be, especially for those that can't go to the actual event. But the same way you make the event more accessible for folks during the rebuild, I think you should take the same approach with a broadcast as well.
All right, one last thing. It's about a former Blazer who's not in the league anymore, but they're talking about on ESPN right now. So Carmelo says he would not give up any of his gold medals for an NBA championship.
I can get that. I can get busy with that. Yeah, I mean,
I guess I've never won
Ask
either.
Noah Lyles. Just talk to Noah Lyles, and he'll tell you, like, it's a national championship, a world championship.
I thought we were done with Noah Lyles for like a good 3.5 years. Like, you don't have to worry about that guy for a while now.
No, but I get it. I do believe that, even though it may not seem that way, like I think it was Devin Booker, if I'm not mistaken, who said that it's harder to win an NBA championship than it is to win a gold medal. I disagree with that from like a number standpoint.
Yeah, it just doesn't. No, the numbers don't add up.
They don't.
There's 12 members of
exactly
every 4 years.
Exactly. So you got 12 members every 4 years that are playing for a gold medal, in comparison to 450 guys every year that get an opportunity to play for an NBA championship. I get what he was saying from a competition standpoint, maybe that the league is more competitive year in and year out than some of the competition you'll play against in international play or FIBA play or the Olympics. But I think the probability of players in the league to be able to win a gold medal in comparison to winning an NBA championship much more favors winning an NBA championship. So that's where I agree with Carmelo Anthony. To be one of those 12 guys every 4 years is very impressive. And to me, it's probably more impressive than just going out and winning a championship, because you just got lucky enough to be placed on a good enough team that had a great fit that you were able to go win with.
I mean, that is like, there are guys that are on the Boston Celtics right now that
will never win a gold medal.
Will never.
No chance.
Zero.
Romance.
Never say never. I'm saying never. Now,
Facts.
am I going to throw a name out there? No, because that just means spirited on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are members of the Milwaukee Bucks a couple of years ago that have a Giannis's brother. I think, wasn't he on the team when they won?
Yeah,
Thanasis?
Thanasis has a championship ring.
He does.
He's never winning a gold medal.
Shout out Thanasis. He's like, just lift. What's that old saying? Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Brother good, I'll be good too.
No offense to the Thanasis Antetokounmpo. He's way better at basketball than I'll ever be. He's not winning a gold medal.
I agree.
He's got championship rings.
He's got a ring. Yeah, it's like that. And so I get what Carmelo is saying from the standpoint. I would rather be one of the 12 best players in America than just be a player on an NBA championship team. I mean, economically, it's much better off. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
Economically, like, there's other things to consider now, where it's like, I'd rather be a star and be able to win gold.
You get money with a gold medal at all?
I think you get a
$300 million contract if you win a gold medal and play in the NBA. If you're in America.
You get it.
Well, like, what are the archery people making, Pounce?
You don't even have to play in the gold medal game.
Exactly.
There's Jason Tatum just
sitting there with 300
collecting a gold medal.
Exactly. Like, I'll take that. I'll take it.
Hey, Rip City Radio, that's us right here. We are keeping Ticket Tuesday and the winning streak alive. Exclusive tickets to the Hillsborough Hops all season long. Season's still going on, by the way. Listen to Rip City Drive today and every Tuesday afternoon for your chance to win. Get Hops tickets now at hillsboroughhops.com. Ebony and Ivory version of the RCM mailbag next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, it is time to wrap up the big show, and we do that kind of the same way each and every day. This will be random questions. It will be any subject, any topic, and nothing is off limits. But with our good friend Devon Pouncey sticking around for the entire third hour, we revive our former question and answer segment from a long gone radio show back in the day. But it lives on each and every Tuesday on this show, and the Ebony and Ivory version of our question and answer lives on right now. Let's open up the RCM mailbag, Ebony and Ivory version. By the way, I was watching Jeopardy last night, and the answer was ebony.
Okay.
The actual wood that is, and I was like, got a little chuckle about it. I was
I can imagine.
Gonna be doing that tomorrow. All right, so here's the premise is Pounce is black. I am white. He grew up in the city. I grew up in the country, and we have very different experiences, yet the world has put us together to talk and have a good time, and we are curious about each other. And so because we have our relationship, we get to ask each other these questions that maybe you have. You might be a little bit afraid to ask, but that's okay.
It's a safe space here. Space here.
Here's my question. What do you think about Post Malone? Post Malone's new album,
Yeah.
I've listened to it like 5 times. I love every second of it. Now, you know me, I am a country music fan, and
Yes.
he made a legitimate country music album. You've asked me about Eminem and the interesting relationship that the hip-hop world has with
For sure.
Eminem. What do you think about Post Malone?
I think it's pretty similar to Eminem. I actually, 2 things. One, I've actually saw Post Malone live, and he was a really good live performer.
Yeah.
For 2, I think during the time periods that, some people may have considered him like a culture vulture, if you will. When I went and saw him in Washington. He had 21 Savage on that tour, and he also had a group that you may not be familiar with, but I am very familiar with, that's called SOBRBE. And I'm telling you, they are just as street as it gets when it comes to
I've never heard of them.
their musical
Not
contents.
surprising.
But also, they happen to be from my hood that I grew up in. So I know them personally, and I got to see them
Shout out
on
Vallejo.
Shout out Vallejo, California. I got to go. They got me tickets to go see them in Kent, Washington, while they were on tour with Post Malone. So I understand that sometimes we struggle with maybe people taken from the culture, if you will, particularly white people that put themselves into this hip hop space. But I can appreciate when if you are going to do that, at least give back to it. And I think that Post Malone has done that. Now, I think with that being said, it doesn't surprise me that he's kind of strayed away a little bit, quite frankly, because he can.
Yeah, he can. He did it once.
Exactly. And that's the luxury that maybe SOBRBE don't have.
That's a good point.
and so, I feel
They're not going to put out a country album?
No,
you don't
it's
think?
just not.
They're
And
not
if they do, they're not going to get taken seriously.
They're
They'll
gonna
probably get
experiment
dissed
with
from the neighborhood across town. You know what I'm saying? So the street cred plummets if SOBRBE makes a country album. So I guess ultimately I say that to say, I do think that, there's a little bit of pandering that took place to help Post Malone be able to reach the heights of success that he did using hip-hop as a primary vehicle for that. But I do give him some credit for pouring back into hip-hop, and I am not surprised that he has now strayed away from hip-hop because, again, he can do that where there's a lot of people that grew up in hip-hop, that come from the culture, that just do not have that luxury.
I mean, Pounce, was it as shocking to you? Because I'm assuming the tour you saw Post Malone was off his Beer Bongs and Bentley's album, which was...
I couldn't hear him.
He's not... For some reason, he can't get you in the...
Oh,
I'm getting
in the
Justin,
headset.
that's...
He's got...
No? Still not coming through?
Still
No,
nothing.
we got nothing. Uh-oh. No.
Ignore me.
Barely got the theme
ignore
music
me.
for Ebony and Ivory as well. So
What was it? Beer Bongs and Bentleys? Is that what?
Is
that the tour?
Yeah, that was the tour.
That was
the tour. And like I said, he was a great performer. Brought out a great crowd, packed it out. Again, brought 21 Savage out with him. Like I said, a young group like SOBRB. So I can respect that. But again, he has the luxury that most people from hip hop don't, and that's to be able to make a full-on country album.
I will say this: I was very skeptical when I heard Post Malone's going to make a country album because I do not like, probably the same way you wouldn't like somebody who is like pop. It's like, oh, I'm going to do a hip hop album now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't just jump in and do it. He did it, man.
For sure.
He made a legit country album. His bangers, and it is
I probably
It's
won't give
very
it an
good.
ear because I don't listen to country
It's not
music.
good.
But you know,
I know your style. I don't think you.
yeah,
don't
I
think
didn't
you-
even get busy with Beyonce that much doing a country album outside of like the main records that I might have had to spend to get some
Yeah.
folks hyped while DJing because it's my job to do that. Other than that, like she doesn't get any replay value for that country album. But some of those other albums,
You DJ a
definitely
wedding
do.
though outside of Portland Metro. There might be some of those.
There
might be a
for
couple
sure.
of those you want to throw on there.
Yeah, okay. I'm with that. My question to you, so I grew up again, it was a lot more diverse where I grew up,
Mhm.
and you played high school football.
I did.
I have never been to a high school football game in this great state of Oregon. Growing up, again, you know, it was a lot more diversity.
Very different.
You know, you might have a fight or two break out from time to time at the games. I mean, I've been to high school football games that have gotten shut down because, again, the crosstown neighborhoods, they get into it in the stands and a whole rumble breaks out.
Yeah.
They have to evacuate the stadium. I've witnessed all of these kind of things growing up at high school football games. Now, again, I haven't been to one here in the state of Oregon. I recently got hired to DJ for it's Mountainside High School out in
Okay.
Tiger Beaverton area for like their student section. I hear West Lynn does it. They have
Wow.
a DJ for their student section. I
different
know you got
world.
ties there. And this will be my first time, obviously, doing it in that regard. So I guess I'm coming to you to maybe find out. I know you may be a little bit far removed from it, but to find out about a little bit of Oregon high school football culture and what approach I should potentially take playing music for a young high school crowd that probably looks a lot different than the one that I grew up around, where rumbles were breaking out.
All right, first off, you're in the suburbs. You're safe.
For sure,
Like,
exactly.
Come
So
on now.
I'm not worried about the danger piece.
Yeah.
I'm worried about I want to be able to connect to
Now,
them.
here's what I don't. And again,
I guess TikTok is the first place to
you
go.
gotta get on the well.
The TikTok, the
Well,
trendy
but the
song.
TikTok will throw you false hope because I'm on TikTok all the time, but it read my mind and it knows
Yeah.
this guy's not about the
They know
kids.
the algorithms.
So, well, do you worry? Because I am now past the point of no return where it's like, I don't listen to what the kids listen to. You're on the border.
I'm on the border.
You're on the
I'm on
border.
the
Like,
border.
do you worry
I'm-
about, like,
I
you
am.
throw one out where you think, here comes a banger, and the kids are like,
Yeah, I'm worried
Not
about being out of
feeling it.
touch a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, especially again with a culture that may not all the way resemble mine.
I can be all right.
Okay,
You'll be
I
all right.
think
Just go with your guy.
Okay,
Go with your guy.
okay,
Play
all
Mr.
right.
Brightside. Everybody will sing along. It'll be great. All right. That's going to do it for the big show. Thanks to Devon Pouncey. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning here on 620 Rip City Radio.